Kindness rewarded. Beyond the 7 seas lived a widow with 2 young daughters, Boriska and Terka. She worried about Terka because she used her time for useless things and wouldn't listen to instructions. Boriska, the younger, was different. From early childhood, she had worked happily in the house, in the barnyard, with the animals, and in the garden. Her energy seemed boundless. When she grew into young adulthood, she told her mother that she was going to look for a job. In this way, she hoped to help the family make a decent living. At first, her mother resisted, but she eventually relented and gave Boriska her blessing to go out into the world. Finding a job in the country wasn't easy. She walked and walked and walked on the dusty country roads. Once she heard a dog whining and followed the sound to its source. To her surprise, the dog spoke and asked her to pull a thorn from its paw. She pulled it out, tore a piece of cloth from her scarf, and bandaged the wound. "Thank you, kind girl," said the dog. "Someday I will repay your kindness." Boriska continued on. Beside the road, she noticed a vineyard unattended. The vines were drooping and weeds were choking them. Again, to her surprise, the vine spoke. "Please, kind girl, put us up on our trellises as we should be and rid us of these weeds. Then we will be able to produce a good crop." Forgetting her goal of finding a paying job, Boriska busily put the vines up on their trellises and pulled all the weeds. Then, realizing how much time had passed, she hurried on her way. At a short distance, she noticed a well. The work in the hot sun had made her very thirsty, and she wanted a refreshing drink. To her surprise, the well was neglected and full of trash. Then the well spoke. "Kind girl, my water is very sweet and good, but no one wants it because so much trash has fallen into me. Please help me by cleaning it out." Boriska cleaned out the trash, took a deep, refreshing drink, and went on her way. Next, she saw an old man who was unable to keep his oven in good repair. "Kind girl, can you please spare the time to help me?" asked the old man. "You see the condition of my oven, and I can no longer bake my bread in it." Having helped her mother many times to keep their oven in good condition, she knew exactly what to do. In less than an hour, the oven was working as if it were new. "Thank you, kind girl," said the old man. "May God repay your kindness." By now, it was almost dark. Following the light of a candle in a distant window, Boriska arrived at a small cottage where she was welcomed by an older couple. She greeted them politely. "Good evening, my kind hosts." "The same to you, kind girl," they replied. "How did you ever get to such a remote place?" "I'm looking for a job," she replied, "and my travels have brought me to your door." "Well, you arrived at just the right place at just the right time. We have been looking in vain for a hard-working servant girl. We see by your hands that you are just such a girl," they said. "In our service, there are 3 days in a year. You will learn later what we mean by this. But what are my duties in such a small cottage? Boriska asked. Surely there can't be a lot to do. These will be your duties. Prepare a good meal for us every day. Early in the morning, clean these 2 rooms thoroughly, and do not enter or even look into the 3rd room, which is our bedroom, they said. We will pay you well. Then you have a servant girl, she said. I will do all that you say and even more. The new servant girl got up early each morning, cleaned the 2 rooms, and prepared whatever her host wanted for their meal. She wasn't even curious about the 3rd room. She always found something to keep her busy. The first day before the old couple left the house, the woman gave her these instructions. For dinner you have to prepare a roast for us. It must be well cooked, but you aren't allowed to bake it in our oven, or on our hearth, or over open flames. When they were gone, Boriska began to cry. She had never before had such instructions. She was desperate and even thought of leaving to find work elsewhere. While she was debating what to do, the oven spoke. Listen, kind girl, you don't need to be sad. I know what you are. On your way here you helped an old man by repairing his oven, which was made by the same craftsman who made me. Put the meat on top of me so that it will not be either in me or in front of me. Neither will it be over open flames. In this way the meat will cook slowly and become very tender. Boriska did as she was told, and all the oven had said was true. When the old couple came home that evening, they were amazed that their servant had followed their instructions and yet was able to present them with such an excellent roast. The second day, the old couple was up early, but Boriska was up even earlier and was doing her cleaning. They left her no specific instructions about dinner, but when they returned home in the evening, she served them a delicious meal. The 3rd day went as the 2nd day. After dinner, the woman said, I am very pleased with you. Never before have we had such a good servant girl. Now we will pay you wages and give you a gift. She held out 2 small jewelry boxes. One was very fancy and the other very plain. You may choose which one you wish, she said. I am young and inexperienced, said Boriska. I will let you choose for me. You are young, but you are wise, said the woman. A foolish girl would have immediately chosen the fancy one, and in this case it would have been a mistake. In the morning the old couple said, You have worked your year for us. Now take your wages and your jewelry box and go home to your mother. She is surely worried about you. Boriska set out on the road home. On the way, the old man called to her and gave her fresh bread from the oven which she had repaired. A little farther on, she came to the well that she had cleaned. As she stooped to get a drink, she saw her face reflected in the water. She had become very beautiful, more beautiful than a rainbow. As she passed the vineyard, she was surprised to see that the vines were loaded with large, ripe grapes. They called to her and asked her to take as many of their clusters as she wanted for her journey and family. Hardly able to carry the jewelry box, the bread, and the grapes, Boriska quickened her step so as to arrive home before dark. Just as she came to the place where she had pulled the thorn from the dog's paw, the dog appeared again. He had a fully baked rabbit for her. Boriska's mother and sister were amazed when she arrived home with fresh baked bread, grapes, a baked rabbit, her wages, and the jewelry box. Their amazement was even greater when they opened the box. As they took out each jewel, another appeared. There was gold and silver too, and even silk dresses for them all. They all went to bed happy and slept well. Early next morning, when the mother awakened, she heard Boriska singing happily as she worked in the kitchen.